Yo, 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 Jonathan Pollard, everybody's favorite bald-headed, jerk-faced, mustachioed meanie. So I'm going to talk today about second opinions, okay? And the point applies broadly to many different areas of law and aspects of law, but today I'm really focused on second opinions in the context of complex commercial cases. So we're talking about things like non-compete cases, trade secret cases, tortious interference, trademark, fiduciary duty, partnership breakups, computer fraud and abuse, these types of cases that are in our general wheelhouse. So to back up a step, for some folks who know, there are two primary buckets of litigation that we get involved with, okay? For 10 years, we mostly did non-compete and trade secret defense, and then anything flowing out of that. So we would that's where you get into Computer Fraud and Abuse Act cases, partnership breakups, corporate espionage, fiduciary duty, tortious interference, the whole wheelhouse, right? That whole kind of apparatus. So we did that for 10 years. And then we started going heavily into traditional plaintiff side employment cases. So these are discrimination, sexual harassment, sexual assault, retaliation, workplace defamation, et cetera, et cetera. I'm building out that other bucket of litigation. So we have these two buckets, right? The sort of broader labor mobility, competition, partnership breakups, et cetera. That's one bucket. And then the other bucket is the plaintiff side employment cases. This is a conversation that's primarily geared toward that first bucket, the sort of more complex competition disputes. In that wheelhouse, over the past decade or more, I have routinely been called into cases, existing cases, litigation that's been going for a year or two or three. I've gotten calls on those types of cases from the litigants themselves or from an in-house counsel and been asked, basically, Pollard, what the heck do we do with this case? It's a train wreck. It's a dumpster fire. There's massive problems. There's massive exposure. Our strategy so far has been no real strategy. It's just been kind of, throw whatever at the wall and see what sticks and bill a lot of hours. And that's the sort of first piece of this, okay? You have to understand there's a difference between a legal strategy and a billing strategy, okay? I hate to call a spade, folks. I hate to be so blunt about it, but the manna from heaven that BIGLAW runs on and that so many corporate lawyers and law firms run on is none other than the billable hour, okay? And I have huge problems with the billable hour because there are plenty of attorneys out there who will allow their own personal interest and incentive to bill hours to be the overriding driving force behind litigation strategy. That's not a legal strategy, okay? That's a billing strategy. So many of these cases that I get calls on for a second opinion or to be escalation counsel or to take it over and try and solve the problem, so many of these cases, there was never really a legal strategy. There was never, from the outset, a plan of attack, a plan of defense, an order of operations with the end goal, right? Calibrated to reach that business goal, that business resolution, solve that specific problem. I see lots of litigation just for litigation's sake, and I see that no more or nowhere that is more mind-blowing than on the discovery front. I see so many of these cases, again, right, the general sort of non-compete, trade secrets, trademark, unfair competition, partnership breakups, etc. I see so many of these cases where hundreds of thousands of dollars are being poured into what seems like an endless discovery crusade, right? collect 500,000 or 1,000,000 documents, review all the documents, search for a needle in a haystack. Oh, we have to do this. We have to leave no stone unturned. There could be a smoking gun in there. We're looking for a needle in a haystack. If we don't do this and we lose the case, we're not responsible because we're BIGLAW and we told you to review all of these documents and collect all these documents and spend $1 million in discovery. And if you don't, you're not listening to our advice, so you can't hold us responsible when stuff goes south, right? It's like shooting fish in a barrel, okay? If you give a mouse a cookie, right? So in a lot of these cases, that wind up being a train wreck, the way we got there, the way the case got there is, one, you have billable hours, okay? You have that incentive. And a lot of, lawyers and law firms are willing to dabble, where a case comes along and it's basically called problem X, right? They don't do problem X. They don't really have any experience, track record, facility, knowledge, expertise about X, but they're willing to mess with it anyway, okay? Because they have to capture that revenue. It's a big case. The substance of the case is X from a legal standpoint, right? Call X trade secrets, okay? They don't really do a lot of that, but they're willing to dive into it and do it here because it's potentially several $100,000, if not several $1 million worth of billable revenue that they can capture, okay? You just have to think about basic incentives, folks. There are so many cases that come to my office, that come across my desk in any given week, and they're cases, these are paying cases, okay? Complex, sophisticated paying cases where it's not in my wheelhouse. And I just tell people point blank, this is not in my wheelhouse. This is X. I don't do X, okay? Could I mess with it? Yeah, I could probably mess with it and try and figure it out, but I don't do that, okay? I don't dabble. And that's even with me, right? Regarding myself as highly as I do, and my colleagues as highly as I regard them, and we could probably figure most things out. But when cases come across my desk that are totally outside of my wheelhouse, I say to myself, you know what? This client wants to hire me because they're like, oh, Pollard's really smart. He's got this track record. He's a good lawyer. He's so well established. He could figure this out, right? We'll pay him lots of money to figure this out. And I think the dominant paradigm in law is basically to say, yeah, I'll take that case. That's right. I'm a big time lawyer. I've won all these cases and so got this track record and look me up. Yeah, I'll take that case. Pay me $1,700 an hour. I'll take that action, right? That's a dominant paradigm, okay? That's not my paradigm. That's not my paradigm, right? Because I don't dabble, okay? I don't dabble. I stick with what I know how to do, okay? I stick with what I know how to do. And so that's the first piece of it, is that you get certain lawyers and law firms and they are seduced by the prospect of a big fat billable case that's kind of outside of their wheelhouse, or where they just don't have the right expertise, or it's above their level, but they'll still mess with it. They'll still mess with it because they can bill hours. And then they get into it and they don't have a litigation strategy. They don't have a clearly defined blueprint for, okay, here's what we need to do. Here's the actual midterm goals. And then here's the ultimate resolution we're looking for, right? They just get into it, start litigating kind of haphazardly, start doing a bunch of discovery. And discovery is like the rock candy mountain, okay? It's like the BIGLAW buffet. It's the trough that never gets emptied. There's always more there, right? There's always more there. You see once in a while in the legal funny pages, some billing dispute with a big law firm, some emails leak out. Everybody remembers the churn, baby churn case, right? I forget what big law firm it was, maybe 10 years ago, some internal emails came to light. Lawyers saying churn, baby churn, bill the hell out of it, right? That's what discovery has become. And so you stop and you think about that, and it all makes total sense. Who created this structure or this paradigm of leave no stone unturned discovery? Lawyers did, right? Why did they do that? Well, It's an easy way to bill a bunch of hours. And when you're risk averse, a lot of lawyers are risk averse, but in a squirrely way, right? They're risk averse in the sense of, well, everything is a maybe. They never give clear yes or no answers. They're always hedging. They're always saying, well, we can't be sure. It might be this, it might be that. No clear answers, right? Always CYA, right? Equivocation, legal speak, always hedging, okay? So they're risk averse in that sense, but not truly risk averse in like a dialed in sense where they would stay out of a case that they don't belong litigating in the first place, okay? But discovery goes in that direction because it fits with the risk averse paradigm and product, okay? If you're a lawyer and your shtick is maybe yes, maybe no, no clear answer, gotta equivocate, gotta keep it up in the air, don't want to commit to anything, don't want to give clear advice, because if I give clear, unequivocal advice on something, if I say, yes, absolutely, we are going to do this, and I don't hedge, then I have to take my consequences on the back end, okay? And this is a point of clarification that lots of people need to understand, okay? Not every strategy is successful. There are plenty of reasonable strategies. There are plenty of strategies that on the front end, okay, without all the facts and everything developed, right, where many things are still unclear, you calibrate a strategy, and that strategy doesn't ultimately work, okay, for any number of reasons. Yeah, shit happens, okay? That's the nature of life. That's the nature of litigation. You don't win them all, okay? But there are many cases, the train wrecks that I see, where there was no original strategy, or the original strategy was a billing strategy and not a litigation strategy, a billing strategy, not a dispute resolution strategy, a billing strategy. We're going to get in, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to bill a bunch of hours, we're going to do a bunch of discovery and bill a bunch more hours. A billing strategy, not a problem-solving strategy, okay? And so this is kind of like really heady and up there, and I'm not sure who will watch this or take away from it, but thousands of people will watch it, okay? So you never know. You have no idea who calls me. You'd be mind blown. Some of the big names that call me, some of the most famous people in the world, huge companies or individuals sitting on tons of money and notorious, right? Call me because they're like, man, this guy is not selling the normal song and dance, right? I have no allegiances to any of this shit, right? Like, I have no allegiance to a broken, dysfunctional system, okay? I have no allegiance to lawyers who are doing shoddy legal work and basically profiteering at any opportunity they get. I have no allegiance to any of that, okay? My allegiance is to my clients and the truth, right? That's how I roll, okay? So where does this all lead, right? You get these train wreck cases where it's, a year and a half in litigation and, 500,000, a million, 3 million, whatever spent. Now there's tons of exposure. And the lawyer who started this, right? The lawyer who steered the client down this path, that lawyer can't admit that A, their strategy was just wrong, or B, that they didn't have a strategy other than get in and bill it, or C, that they didn't have the requisite experience or expertise or knowledge to even mess with this particular type of problem or this degree of a problem. And so now the lawyer's going to double down, right? I call this double down on bullshit. Classic. Double down on bullshit. We did X. It was not calibrated. It was not strategic. It cost a bunch of money. It had no chance in hell of succeeding. Caught with our pants down. We are now going to do more X, right? It's going to work. We just have to keep doing more of it and bill like another $1 million worth of hours. And then we will get to the promised land, right? Because at that point, that lawyer, that law firm, they are boxed in, okay? And now the ethical thing to do there, one, the ethical thing to do, and two, the smart thing to do would be, you know what? We did not handle this appropriately on the front end, okay? We made some mistakes, and at this point, we need to bring somebody in who knows what they're doing and who can solve this problem, okay? But that's usually not how it goes. That's usually not how it goes. The instinct there, okay? The instinct there is just double down on bullshit, okay? And if, call it big law firm X, right? Big law firm X, if big law firm X is the one who created this train wreck disaster, okay, and is scrambling, caught with their pants down, and they do agree to bring somebody else in to look at it, you know who they're going to bring in, okay? Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess who they're going to bring in. Joe's buddy, right? Joe, big lawyer, okay, who's the architect of this train wreck litigation disaster. Oh, you want a second opinion on this? You want a second set of eyes on this? I'll bring in my buddy Frank, okay? I'll bring in my buddy Frank from Big Firm Y. Frank comes in, okay? Now Frank's like, this is a great strategy. This is, stuff happens, but man, this is exactly how I would have done it. In fact, you just need to do more, okay? We can come in and team up on this and really, right? Okay. Hey, billable hours for everybody. Fill up the trough. Get all you can. Let's do some more discovery. That's why I got to practice self-preservation, okay? That's why I got to practice self-preservation. There are a lot of both individuals and companies that have significant financial resources, and they may be financially sophisticated, but they are not legally sophisticated. And so they get steered into these types of situations. I've had folks in this space, in these types of situations reach out to me over the years, and they're in the middle of a basically litigation disaster, raging dumpster fire case that, sometimes a case they started. And I will ask them, why on earth did you ever initiate this litigation? Why on earth did you ever start this fight when you had no idea what the hell you were doing or getting into? You had no idea the consequences. You basically kicked a wasp's nest. Okay? Why did you do that? And the answer was literally, well, it's what my lawyers, that's what the lawyers wanted to do, right? That's what the lawyers wanted to do, okay? And I've heard that explanation or that story multiple times. I've heard it so many times that it's an actual thing. It's not a 1 or 2 off or 3 off. Like, it's an actual thing that's happened repeatedly. Client sit on $200 million, right? Privately held company, $200 million in some litigation that they started. They spent $2 or $3 million on it so far. They got all kinds of exposure. And they're like, I don't know why we did this, right? The lawyer said to do this. Our lawyer said to do this, right? We have Big Firm X, outside counsel. Like, they're, we ask people who to hire. And they say, oh, hire them. They're big. It's BIGLAW. Must be good, right? Lawyer told us to do this. That's how we got into it. We didn't know. Just lawyer told us to do this. Got to be more discerning, okay? Got to be more discerning. Got to practice self-preservation. Ain't nobody coming to rescue you, home. You got to rescue yourself, all right? Anybody who knows. If you know, you know, okay? If you know, you know. If you're in that situation, you know it, and you know exactly what you need to do, okay? I don't care. If it's me, I don't care who it is, right? But it can't be Frank, all right? It can't be Frank, because Frank's going to want to do the same thing. Come in and eat at that billable hour trough, right? You really do need kind of a wild card, southpaw, legal strategist, litigation architect who has no allegiances to any of these people, no fealty to this system, to just come in and look at it and be like, okay, brass tacks, like, here's what you got. Here's your problem. Here's some solutions. Here's how it works, right? Jonathan Pollard, got that eye of Thundera, son. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.